What's up, hoopheads? Welcome to an all-new episode of Buckets and Dimes, Nuts and Bolts Sports NBA podcast. Joe Cardoza here, joined as always by my fellow basketball fanatic, back from his cruise. Good to have him back on the show, Mr. Patrick Hillwig, tanned and relaxed. What's up, Pat? How you doing today, boss?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. Like you said, tanned and relaxed, not a care in the world. Free agency started on Sunday at 6 p.m., and, it didn't let us down, that's for sure. We got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, it was definitely crazy, but like the kids say nowadays, inject the crazy into my veins. I enjoyed every single minute of it. I think we both will agree. We can say we walked away from day one of free agency saying, sorry, NFL, but I think the NBA is the best professional sports league in sports. I mean, the excitement, the drama. There's a lot of people who had their phones in their hands or laptops, whatever electronic device you use that's electronic, that can get you information on the NBA. You were hitting that refresh button constantly. Your notifications are up. I think half my staff at work was telling me they had to be gone by 5:30. The guys who had to stay late at night had their Woj notifications on, their Shan notifications on. They didn't want to miss a single thing. And another thing I took away from free agency 2, day one, noticed on social media, a lot of people getting got, man. A lot of fake news being spread. People saying this person signed here, that person signed there, and it wasn't true. So that kind of made things a little bit weird for me. But, I mean, like I always say, you got to triple check your sources, man, before you start posting stuff. Nothing makes you lose credibility more fast than saying this is what's going on in sports and come to find out you were way, way off base and your information wasn't correct. So, man, let's jump right into this free agency conversation, Pat. Kicked off at 6 o'clock. I know you have a list. If you guys could see his notes, a list of the mountain of transactions that happened between the first hour and 2 hours of the night. What do you got? What are some of the things that stood out to you opening night?
Just a couple of things that stood out. Obviously, the Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, DeAndre Jordan thing. If you go back and you look, they were actually talking about that at 5:30. So this whole thing about
no tampering,
what
are you saying?
And all this stuff, right? I mean, I even read an article where Kyrie and KD had actually talked before this season and said they'd be teaming up somewhere once this season was over. So hey, but that's neither here nor there. So it's 6 o'clock, right to get the jump off. We got JJ Redick going to the Pelicans on a 2-year, $26.5 million contract. You got Kemba Walker going to the Celtics. Hey. We talked about it. They've been talking about Kemba going to the Celtics. They started to build up, even though Kemba said he would take less money to stay in Charlotte. They just didn't. They couldn't get it done. So he got a 4-year, $141 million max deal for Kemba Walker. I'm happy for him. I think that's Boston is the spot for him. And then, of course, Chris Middleton staying with the Bucks on a 5-year, $178 million thing as well. That's 6 o'clock. Move on to 6:33. You got Jeremy Lamb going to the Pacers. 6:41. Porzingis signs a 5-year, $158 million max deal with the Mavs. So they got their guy done and inked up. Finally, at 7:35, the New York Knicks are on the board. And with their selection, they have selected Julius Randle for 3 years, $63 million.
He might surprise some folks, man.
Hey, all jokes aside, Julius Randle, for the last few years, has been one of those guys that every year his game has improved. Since he left the Lakers, he did phenomenal. For
New Orleans, he did great. Yeah.
So, I mean, that is actually, honestly, it's a cool pick. It's funny because I saw a thing, and there was something about Julius Randle saying something about Zion or whatever, and it's funny because the meme was like, it was a picture, and it was like, Dolan looking at Zion, and he didn't have his glasses on. And then when he put his glasses back on, Julius Randle's face was like, he's like, Zion? Question mark? It was just really funny. But hey, no, the Knicks actually signing Julius Randle, I think, was a great deal right there. At 9:08 p.m., Al Horford finally. We were all wondering what was going to happen to him.
Love this.
The divide between him and with the Celtics. He went to the Sixers on a 4-year, $109 million deal there as well. Couple of surprises. I will say there were a couple of surprises. I'll get into those here in a quick second. We're moving into Monday. Monday at 12:45, they started talking about this. It comes a little later at 5:27, but you got a 4-way deal with the Heat, with the Clippers, with the Blazers, and the Sixers. You got Down here, you got Jimmy Butler. They started talking about it, but they couldn't get it finalized for whatever reason.
Player. Yeah.
So Jimmy Butler to the Heat. Josh Richardson to the Sixers.
Love
it. The Heat also got Myers Leonard out of that deal as well. The Clippers get a 2023 first round, a lottery protected pick, as well as Mo Harkless, and Hassan Whiteside goes to the Blazers. I think that's a sneaky pickup with Nurkic.
Coming back from that injury.
That gives them somebody else to keep the rebounds and everything going. So that was kind of a crazy one right there. Klay Thompson re-signs with the Warriors, 5 years, $190 million max deal. Obviously, we don't know when he's going to play again because of the injury in the finals, but that's definitely one there. And D'Angelo Russell. One, who saw D'Angelo Russell going to the Warriors? I commend the Warriors.
Not me.
You lose KD. You have Klay Thompson down for majority of the season next year. You get a guy that was an all-star, not too long ago.
Still improving.
Right.
Still young.
Still improving. Young. I mean, I think it's a solid deal. Like, you and I talked about it as soon as it happened, and you and I have talked about it off the air a little bit ago. I don't think D'Angelo Russell's going to be a Warrior for more than a year, but he's a great fill-in so that Steph Curry has somebody next to him that can score, because he can score. So, he may be there for a year just as a fill-in. Once Thompson comes back, hey, especially if he does good. What happens if he does great next year? Then his value. Right, his value just went up.
Value.
So absolutely. Really, what did they do? I mean, they did sign him to a 4-year, $117 max deal. So this is a pretty big deal for him. Wesley Matthews going to the Bucks. I like that. Losing Brogdon.
Yep.
Matthews is another guy. I think Brogdon, younger. Brogdon, to me, was a little bit more potential, but Wesley Matthews is definitely a shooter, and I love that. So that was just a couple of the deals that happened, and then a new one that we just saw, Willie Cauley-Stein to the Warriors today. So
Trill.
That's crazy, but I mean, and then of course the Wizards did sign Isaiah Thomas, which is kind of a sneaky move.
Ish Smith, yeah.
We signed Isaiah Thomas and Ish Smith. So, excuse me, those are just a couple of the signings that I saw that really, when I saw them, I was like, some of them I was like, wow. Some of them I was like, oh, well, we saw that coming.
Yeah.
When was it going to happen?
Exactly.
So now we're waiting for Kawhi. And now we're waiting for...
The Morris twins still haven't signed. We still got Jabari Parker out there still floating around. There's definitely some quality NBA players that are still floating. One of the cool things, I think, is the Lopez brothers both playing for the same team.
Yep.
That's going to be kind of fun to see those guys together on the Milwaukee Bucks. I want to see how that works out for them. We're definitely going to talk about our winners and losers. I want to get into a little bit of a conversation about the Washington Wizards. But real quick, because there's not a lot of news and notes besides NBA free agency. Of course, we all knew Tony Parker was going to retire, so the Hornets waived him so he can go ahead and retire. We got some guys that were able to secure their bag. Ben Simmons and the Sixers are real close to a max deal extension for $170 million. We also saw Damian Lillard, 4 years, $196 million for my main man, Dame Dollar. I am happy about that.
And how much did you say he's going to make in the final year?
The final year has a possibility to make, I believe, $53 million.
Woo!
Yeah, I should have never stopped playing basketball. I should have forced myself to get good. Could have been laying on the beach. I could have gone on a cruise with you, man. Circling back to the Washington Wizards, we all know as Wizards fans and NBA fans what was going to happen this offseason. Strapped salary-wise, of course, we can talk about the John Wall contract all we want. He's injured, not going to play. A lot of rumors about Bradley Beal being traded here or there. The franchise threatened with the owner, let everybody know that Bradley Beal would not be traded. He'd be a Washington Wizard for this foreseeable future, which has been the truth so far. I thought the top priority for the Wizards in the offseason was making sure the young gunner, Thomas Bryant, got re-signed, and they did that. Another thing I wanted to see happen was, I wanted to see what was going to happen with Portis, with Jabari Parker, also with Jeff Green, who I thought was a really good, not just veteran presence, but a good player for the Washington Wizards as well. And I also wanted Thomas Sato to come back to the team. Of course, traded to the Bulls, so they lost Sato. You get Ish Smith from the Detroit Pistons. You sign Isaiah Thomas. You look at that roster from top to bottom from the Washington Wizards. No one's staying up late at night scared of that team. But I see a lot of potential to cause some trouble in the East and maybe potentially be a fighter for that 8th or even 7th spot. And that's not me being a homer. That's just if all the cards line up. You got the 2 rookies, especially Schofield from Tennessee, who I think is highly underrated. I think he's going to be a really high-energy guy off the bench that can give you some points and give you some good garbage plays. What's your take on the Wizards? I know you were really upset about Satoransky leaving. What do you think about, so far, the Washington Wizards free agent experience?
As far as free agent, oh man, I'm kind of like, what are we doing here? I mean, we just didn't. I think depth is our biggest thing that we're missing out on. I mean, and you and I were talking, and it's just like, you look at our big man between our forwards and our centers. I mean, okay, Dwight Howard, is he going to come back? We don't know. Okay, Bobby Portis gone. Jabari Parker, is he going to be on the roster? We still don't know that one either. So I mean, there's just a bunch of holes in there. I mean, we got Schofield from Tennessee. He's a rookie. We got Hachimura. I actually like him. I like his
I think
game
he's gonna be a
lot.
nice pickup. He's gonna fit in well.
And Troy Brown. I mean, those are your true, I guess, forwards on our team this season. There's not many players that are going to be scared of that lineup, like you said. Thomas Bryant, love the guy. I think that was the most important signing that we had. But, losing Satoransky, I like Satoransky. I think he had a solid game. I think, overall, was he an all-star? No. But he was a solid backup.
I'd rather have him than Ish Smith and Isaiah Thomas.
Yes, 100%. What's he, like 6'6", 6'7", or something like that? I mean, he had a triple-double last season.
He's also improved every year.
Improving and improving.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think we needed to get another shooter, in my opinion, but we didn't really do that. But you never know what can happen. I mean, there's still some time for something to happen for us to get somebody. But we definitely needed another veteran guard, in my opinion, to come in to make a difference. And I love the Isaiah Thomas pick. I really do, the pickup. I love Isaiah Thomas healthy. But is he going to be healthy? We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen with that.
He is.
I hope he is.
And let me tell you why. Yes, he had a very bad hip injury, and playing through the hip injury in the playoffs for the Celtics was probably a bad idea. But here's the optimist in me. This guy sat out basically an entire year last year. So you're talking about hip injury, you rehabbed to get back on the court, didn't really get back on the court at all. So to me, that's a continuation of more rest and more rehab time. So I'm thinking, in my little perfect Wizards bubble, 2 years of sitting on the bench and not playing real hard minutes of basketball, this guy's going to come back with a vengeance and come back for blood.
He's rested, I'll give you that. But for the Nuggets to sign him, right, and then him to not even crack the rotation, but I think, 12 games in the season is all right. All he played?
Sounds about right. Your face right now.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? No garbage time, no nothing. They were blowing teams out. He wasn't even coming off the bench and playing a single minute in games. He didn't play. I don't think he played a single minute in the postseason.
I don't remember.
I mean, he just. You would think if he was not if he was healthy, but if he was good to go, you'd think they would have given him a chance to do something. At least, hey, if he does well, it's good trade bait. If he doesn't, oh well, no harm, no foul.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm being optimistic.
I hope you're right, though.
I think he can be a big plus off of the bench. I think Ish Smith's a solid number 2. If Ish Smith's our starting point guard at the beginning of the season, we got some problems. We'll have to see what they can get off the scrap heap to add on to this team. But I mean, like we said, with the money situation, it's Bradley Beal versus the rest of the Eastern Conference versus the rest of the NBA. We'll have to see who they can bring to help out. And I was talking to my friend Patrick Waring, the other Patrick, earlier today, and he was saying, and I agree with him, situation that the Wizards are in, just play the young guys. All those young players you got, let's play them. We're not in contention for a top 4 seed in the NBA. We're not going to win the finals. Let's see what we got, so that when the money and the opportunity comes around to make moves, at least we know who we can keep, and we know who we can get rid of.
I'm going to tell you who I liked last year, and I want him to get a chance this year, is Jordan McRae. I liked him. I liked him when he was in